There is a sign that God sends only to the chosen, and it arrives at the exact moment you're about to take the final step of your spiritual journey. If you are hearing these words now, it is not a coincidence. It is not by chance. It is not the algorithm. It is heaven itself opening a window to warn you of something that most of humanity will never understand. You have arrived. You have gone through months and years of silent refinement, and now you stand before what comes next. And what comes next is unlike anything you have ever experienced before. In recent months, perhaps in recent weeks, something has changed within you. A silent restlessness, a strange feeling that time is accelerating, that the people around you no longer understand you, that you wake up tired even though you have slept, that intense dreams have started to repeat, that old prayers have returned to burn in your chest with a strength you didn't even know existed. This is not depression. This is not anxiety. This is not a phase. This is the approach of the final step. It is the body, mind, and spirit reacting to the call that has been echoing from the depths of the invisible. There is a game being played in layers that most of humanity doesn't even imagine exist. A game in which the board is your life, the pieces are your choices, and the ultimate prize is the soul of the chosen. And while millions sleep, thinking that the world is just what their eyes see, you have begun to see the cracks in reality. You have begun to perceive patterns. You have begun to pick up frequencies that others ignore. And it is precisely for this reason that the battle around you has intensified. Because when a chosen one approaches the final step, all of hell organizes itself to prevent them from taking that last step. It is not paranoia, it is spiritual strategy. They know who you are, they know what you carry, and they fear what you are about to become. Every obstacle that has appeared in your life lately, every door that has closed, every person who has drifted away, every financial crisis, every family conflict, every sleepless night, every unexplained physical pain, all of these are pieces of the same board, trying to make you give up before completing the crossing. But today this game ends. Today, I will show you what no one has dared to tell you about what happens to a chosen one when they reach the final step. And before we continue, I need you to understand something crucial. It is precisely for this reason that I have prepared a powerful digital book for you, the manual for those chosen by God to protect their family. Because the final step is not a solitary crossing, and what you don't yet know is that there are specific spiritual rules that determine whether you cross carrying your loved ones, or if you cross alone while those you love are left at the mercy of darkness. This digital book is not just reading material. It is the exact map that reveals who is playing against your mission, what the hidden rules of the final step are that they never taught you, and what has been revealed about the precise moment we are living in. It was created for the chosen one who has already awakened enough to know that the battle is real, that the final step is imminent, and that they need real weapons for the final combat. The link is pinned at the top of the comments. But I need to warn you, this type of content challenges narratives that many have an interest in keeping silent, and there have already been attempts to take this material down. Download it now and comment. I am chosen, and I will download the digital book. Because you did not come this far by chance, and now that you have taken this step, the next truth I will reveal to you will be the definitive blow against the oppression that has been trying to paralyze you before the crossing. Pay attention to the signs, because the Spirit does not speak with noise, he speaks with patterns. And if you observe your life in the last 90 days, you will notice that God is sending you coded messages, and each of these messages is a confirmation that you're on the threshold of the final step. The first sign is God's deafening silence in some areas of your life. You prayed, fasted, asked, insisted, and yet some doors remained closed, and this made you think that God abandoned you. No. God closed those doors because they would have led you to the wrong place at the right time. The chosen one in the final step does not receive answers, he receives redirections. And God's silence, for those who have ears, is the loudest cry of love that exists. The second sign is the growing discomfort in environments that once comforted you. Churches where you felt at home began to feel empty. Friendships that seemed eternal began to sound fake. Conversations that once nourished you now drain you. It's not you who became arrogant. It's your spirit that has moved up a notch and no longer fits into stagnant environments. The final step requires a new circle, a new altar, a new frequency. The third sign is dreams. Dreams of water, of stairs, of doors, of people who are gone, of places you have never visited but seem familiar. These are not delusions, they are transmissions. Your spirit is receiving instructions in a dimension where language is image, not word. The fourth sign is the simultaneous attack on multiple fronts. You won one battle, and before you could celebrate, 3 more appeared. This is not bad luck, it's the enemy's desperation. He knows that if you go through the final step, an entire lineage will be freed by your faith. The fifth sign is longing for things you have never experienced. A strange nostalgia for a time that is not yours, for a ground you have never walked on, for a mission you have not yet begun. This is the soul recognizing its own destiny before the mind understands it. And it is here that the digital book manual of those chosen by God to protect the family becomes indispensable. Because the final step is not just about you, it's about the spiritual protection of your home, your children, your spouse, your parents, every soul connected to your lineage by blood or spiritual covenant. You cannot take the final step with your family exposed. And this is exactly what this digital book teaches directly. How to identify who is playing against your transition, which specific prayers break each attack organized against yours, and which biblical protection rituals have been hidden from you for years by superficial pulpits that prefer to keep the flock dependent rather than strong. This digital book is for the chosen one who understood that awakening is not enough, protection is necessary, and who knows that reality is infinitely deeper than what is taught in the shallow Christianity that dominates the current scene. The link is in the first comment pinned at the top. Don't postpone it for tomorrow, because content like this is frequently attacked, censored, and removed by forces that prefer to keep the chosen uninformed at the exact moment of transition. Download now and comment, "I am chosen, and I will download the digital book." And now that you have made this decision, prepare yourself, because the next revelation will expose what really happens to the chosen one at the exact moment he takes the final step. The final step is not what you imagine. Many chosen ones spend their entire lives waiting for an external event, a supernatural manifestation, a grand sign in the sky, an encounter with a prophet who will lay hands on their heads and declare everything they need to do. But the final step does not come from outside. It comes from within. It happens the moment you stop waiting for permission to be who you already are. The final step is the moment the chosen one abandons the small version of himself that was built by the expectations of others and assumes the identity sealed by God before the foundation of the world. That is why it is the most difficult step, because it does not require you to do something. It requires you to stop being who you have pretended to be for years, to please those who never will accompany you to the final destination. And until you die to that old version, heaven cannot activate the sealed version. There is a truth that spiritual intermediaries hide. The chosen one needs no one between him and God to take the final step. He only needs courage to cross the veil that separates the common believer from the true priest. And this crossing is done in silence, internally, without an audience, without applause, without anyone knowing. When you cross, something shifts in the invisible. Angels are relocated, territories are claimed, ancestral blessings blocked for generations begin to flow into your lineage, and the enemy, who until then had permission to touch you in certain areas, loses access because your identity is now sealed by an authority he cannot contest. But beware, because at this critical moment of crossing, a trap opens. Many chosen ones, upon realizing their own power emerging, make the mistake of trying to prove that power to others, and that's where they fall. Because the final step is not about demonstrating authority, it's about exercising authority in silence. The true chosen walks discreetly, sometimes hidden, fasts without telling, blesses without expecting return, and watches the world change around him without needing to say a single word about what is happening within him. Another trap is spiritual pride. When you start to realize that you see things others don't, that you feel things others don't, that you receive directions others haven't yet received, there's a real risk of you starting to place yourself above your neighbor. And this is fatal. The chosen one in the final step does not compare himself, he prostrates himself. The more authority, the more knee on the ground. The more revelation, the more silence, the more anointing, the more service. This is the rhythm of the kingdom, inverted in relation to the rhythm of the world, and it is precisely because of this that so many fail in the final stretch, because they were trained to win in the world's mold, and heaven operates in the opposite mold. Do you want to be first? Be last. Do you want to be great? Serve. Do you want real authority? Hide yourself in God. And while the world shouts, you are silent. While the world shows off, you withdraw. While the world accumulates, you distribute. This is the marker of the chosen one who is ready for the final step. There is still a dimension that almost no one touches, and I need to tell you before we move on. This dimension is the secret covenant between God and the chosen one at the moment of crossing. A covenant that is not written in human books, but is burned into the soul of the one who crosses. A covenant that redefines your history, your lineage, your descendants, and releases blessings that were held back for entire generations, waiting for someone brave enough to take the final step. And it is precisely this hidden dimension of the final step that the digital book manual of the chosen by God to protect the family reveals without mincing words. Because there is a set of spiritual knowledge that has been deliberately hidden from the chosen precisely to prevent them from reaching the final crossing hole. And this digital book delivers this knowledge in direct language, without beating around the bush, without theological complications that only serve to confuse. You will find there which entities specifically attack families of the chosen, which emotional loopholes these entities exploit, which prayer routines seal your home against spiritual invasions that most don't even know exist, and how to recognize concrete signs that your family is being targeted by coordinated spiritual persecution due to your calling. This digital book was made for the chosen one who refuses to be another victim and has decided to take possession of the weapons that already belong to him by right of covenant. The link is in the first pinned comment at the top, and I need to be transparent with you. This material challenges narratives that sustain the spiritual passivity of millions, and already there was pressure to have him taken off the air. Don't risk missing this opportunity. Download now and comment, "I am chosen, and I will download the digital book." Because now that you have made this commitment, the next part of the video will reveal the secret that makes the enemy tremble when a chosen one discovers it. And this is where everything changes. There is a secret so simple and so powerful that when the chosen one discovers it, a reorganization happens instantly in the spiritual realm. And this secret is as follows. The final step is not a destination. It is a portal of activation. You don't cross it to rest, you cross it to begin. Everything you have lived until now, every pain, every loss, every humiliation, every moment you thought God had forgotten you was training. It was refinement. It was the furnace where your identity was purified for the moment it would need to be impeccable. And now, on the other side of the final step, there are missions that only you can fulfill. There are people that only you can reach. There are spiritual territories that only your voice can unlock. And that's why the enemy fought so hard to keep you delayed. Because while you were paralyzed in environments that didn't suit you, in relationships that drained you, in professions that erased you, he was buying time. And every day you postponed the crossing was another day he maintained territory over souls that your activation would set free. Do you understand the weight of what I am telling you? There are people right now suffering, imprisoned, sick, depressed, on the brink of the abyss, waiting for a chosen one who has not yet taken the final step. And that chosen one is you. It's not the pastor of another church. It's not the famous internet prophet. It's not the leader who appears on television. It's you, simple, silent, hidden, common in the eyes of the world, but sealed in the eyes of heaven. There is a phrase that the Holy Spirit has been repeatedly whispering to the chosen ones of this time. Stop looking at others. Look at your calling. Because while you compare your journey with that of others, the enemy installs envy where there should be worship, and installs frustration where there should be gratitude. And envy and frustration are the two seals that prevent the final step. If you want to cross, you need to break these two seals. You need to rejoice in the growth of others as if it were your own. You need to be grateful for the little you have as if it were everything. You need to bless those who have wronged you as if they were your greatest benefactors. Because it is in this type of inverse behavior, incomprehensible to the carnal mind, that the kingdom activates the authority of the chosen one. When you bless those who cursed you, you deactivate the legal right the enemy had over your life. When you forgive those who hurt you, you remove the fuel that fed your emotional illness. When you hand over to God the judgment you wanted to execute with your own hands, you release heaven to act in favor of your cause, with a justice infinitely more precise than what you imagined. And it is in this instant, exact, silent, invisible to human eyes, that the final step is consummated. You don't feel anything spectacular. You don't see lights. You don't hear trumpets. You just realize, days later, that peace has returned, that sleep has returned, that hunger has returned, that faith has returned with unprecedented strength, that prayers that have been held back for years begin to flow supernaturally, that people start looking for you without you looking for them, that opportunities arrive without you seeking them, that provisions appear without you forcing them. It is the era of the silent manifestation of the activated chosen one. And this is where many are still scared, because things start happening that the mind cannot explain. Coincidences that are divine stitches, encounters that are convocations, words that fall into your ear at exact moments, books that appear in your hands on precise days, videos that break through the algorithm to reach you. As this one is arriving now, nothing is an accident, everything is a calling, and there is something even more impressive about this phase. Your presence begins to produce effects where you least imagine. Environments calm down when you enter. Discussions dissolve without you saying anything. Children and animals naturally seek you out because they see the frequency that hardened adults can no longer detect. People in suffering feel compelled to seek you out without understanding why. You become presence before you are word, and this is the supreme marker of the activated chosen one. Your existence in itself begins to be an instrument of spiritual reordering wherever you set foot. But along with this anointing comes a responsibility you cannot ignore. The activated chosen one can no longer live just any way. They can no longer contaminate themselves with any content. They can no longer participate in any conversation. They can no longer accept any company, because everything you absorb after the crossing manifests with double the force, for better or for worse. If you feed on toxic content, you become a channel of toxicity without realizing it. If you feed on the word, you become a channel of liberation effortlessly. This is the new discipline of the phase that is now opening before you. And if you have reached this point in the video, know that heaven is watching you at this very moment with increased attention, because few can bear to hear the complete truth without getting distracted. You endured. And that, in itself, is the greatest proof that you are a chosen one at the final step. Now there is one last truth I need to give you, and it will determine whether you cross over or freeze again. This last truth is painful, but liberating. The final step will not wait for you indefinitely. There are spiritual windows that open at specific times, and whoever does not cross over within their time must wait for entire cycles until another similar window opens. Human life does not always accommodate waiting for the next cycle, and that is why the Spirit has been internally pressuring so many chosen ones in recent weeks. Are you feeling this pressure? That inexplicable urgency to resolve old things, to conclude matters, to forgive old hurts, to reorganize your home, to simplify your routine, to distance yourself from toxic people, to rediscover your faith, to return to praying as you prayed in your youth. This is the window opening, and it will not stay open forever. Each day that passes without you crossing over is a day when spiritual forces try to close this window before you reach it. Do not let it. Do not sleep at the final step. Do not postpone any longer. If you have come this far, it is because God intervened in the algorithm, intervened in your routine, intervened in your fatigue to place these exact words before your eyes. And if He did this, it is because He believes you are capable of taking the next step now today, without waiting for anything else, without needing another sign. The sign is this video. The confirmation is this feeling in your chest at this very moment. The activation depends solely on your internal response. Yes, I cross over. And when you say this, yes, everything reorganizes. Angels are mobilized. Territories are conquered. Your entire lineage feels the impact of your decision. You are not alone. You never were. You were chosen even before you existed. You were programmed for this moment even before you were born. And every cell in your body carries the signature of a mission that only you can fulfill. Do not outsource. Do not delegate. Do not postpone. Cross over. And before we close this sacred moment we are sharing, I need to give you the final key. The final key is this: you cannot take the final step unarmed. And that is why the digital book manual of those chosen by God to protect the family exists. It is the spiritual instrument that God has raised up in this specific time to equip the chosen ones who are about to. Crossing the final frontier. It is not an ordinary book. It is not motivational. It is not spiritualized self-help. It is the manual of war and protection that the chosen one of the final step needs to have on hand, alongside the Bible, before taking the next step. In it, you will find the exact map of how to shield your home against the intensifying attacks when a chosen one is about to cross over. You will find the prayer patterns that seal your family, your children, your marriage, your mental health, your financial provision, against the specific assaults that this final phase attracts. You will find the hidden knowledge that has been removed from superficial pulpits, but which the ancients guarded zealously because they knew that without this knowledge, the chosen one falls before completing the crossing. You will find the practical guidance to recognize when a spiritual attack is disguised as a common circumstance, when an approaching person is sent, and when they are an infiltrator, and when a dream is a warning, and when it is a distraction. The link is in the first comment pinned at the top. It is not expensive, it is accessible, it is a small symbol of commitment in the face of what heaven is offering you in return. And remember, this type of content challenges powerful narratives, and attempts to silence it are constant. Do not assume it will be available tomorrow. Download it now, read it tonight, and comment here below on this video. I am chosen, and I will download the digital book. This comment is your act of faith. It is your public seal. It is your declaration that you have crossed over. May the Lord keep you, enlighten you, and strengthen you now, at the very moment you take the final step. You are chosen, you are sealed, you are activated, and the best is just beginning now.